Welcome back, YouTube, to Icy Chap's Edge. I'm Icy Chap here with another video. Before I get into it, let me just cover a couple things. Number one, you may have noticed that the format and production of the video is a little bit different. My new videos are going to have new formatting and effects, including titles. No longer will I include fact sheets in the video itself. And in the future I may actually include photographs, possibly narration, music, that kind of thing. And many thanks to Dr. Kevin Kolak, good friend of mine, fellow YouTuber, who actually showed me how to add these things to videos and explain the software to do it. So hopefully over time my videos will get better and you'll enjoy them more. So let's talk about this knife. This is the Cold Steel Trailmaster, and I've actually done another video on this knife, but using some new techniques I figured I could make a better video and also keep it shorter. I find that some of my videos have been going a little bit longer than I wanted. So go ahead and look at the other video too. I'm actually going to post this as a response to that video, but this one will be much shorter. As I said in the other video, this is my favorite wilderness survival knife, and there are several reasons for that, and I will cover them very briefly. But I want you to know that I do not take that lightly. I consider this not to be a perfect knife, but in its current incarnation versus the other knives that I've used, this is absolutely my favorite. A couple things to show you about the knife right away. Number one is the blade design. It is a Bowie design, but it's slightly modified in that it doesn't have that radical clip point. Important thing is that allows you to hammer on the latter third of the blade for batoning. It also keeps the point very rigid and tough. The thickness of the blade is 5/16 of an inch thick, which makes it really excellent for splitting wood. You're going to be able to use it almost like a chisel as you wedge it into the log, and it's going to split the wood fibers very easily. Because the blade is so long at 9.5 inches, and because it has that exceptional thickness, makes it very heavy, which is going to make it a great chopper. So you'll be able to chop wood and split wood very effectively, which is going to be great for fire making and also shelter building. Very important wilderness survival tasks. The other nice thing about this blade shape is not only is it long, but at the latter third of the blade you've got a really nice sweep and belly, which makes it excellent for slicing and smaller tasks too. Because the blade is not overly broad, you can choke up and use your thumb on the flat of the blade, which is an excellent grip for bushcraft. Basically, if you put your other thumb on the back of the blade and hold whatever item is to be cut in your fingers, you have excellent control for working the blade back and forth. This is a great technique for notching wood, creating tent pegs, whittling, that kind of thing. Another great feature of this knife, another reason I absolutely love it, is the handle. It's a craton handle, which is well textured and very grippy. A couple things to note. Number one, this will remain grippy even if it gets wet. And the other thing is it will cushion your hand from shock when you baton on the back of the blade. And that's very important, especially when you're using the knife for a long time. You don't want to experience hand fatigue, especially when you're batoning a lot. And the other thing is that in cold weather conditions, the steel of the knife is going to get cold too, and you don't want that transferred to your hand. So those are really the top features of the knife, why I love it so much. One other thing to show you, and I did this in the other video too, I just balanced the knife on my finger just to show you where the balance point is. And it's really just in front of the guard, maybe about an inch in front of the guard, and you can see how well the knife balances. So really just an amazing knife. It just feels terrific in hand. So those are really the points that I want to cover on the knife itself. I just want to talk about one other thing, and that is a lot of people out there have hate for cold steel. And when it comes to this knife in particular, they've called this knife just a sharpened pry bar. And my first response to that, honestly, is so what? if this knife is made from stock removal, from just a thick piece of steel, so what? If it's a good piece of steel and was heat treated properly, then I have no problem with stock removal. And to be perfectly honest, I can't afford a hand-forged, custom-made knife, at least not yet. Maybe one day I'll have a knife forged just for me and I'll be able to spend the money and I'll enjoy that knife even more than I love this knife. But just to make the blanket statement that forging is always going to be better than stock removal is ignoring the fact that one of the things that cold steel brings to us is proven designs and high value. And you could say that a forged knife is going to last a lifetime, but I guarantee so will this if you take care of it. And that intrinsic value of forging, I will never take anything away from it, but it's simply a long and expensive process and not everybody can afford it. And I happen to appreciate cold steel for what they do in bringing such high quality designs at a high value price point. And I personally appreciate that, and I hope you do too. Just to finish talking about the knife real quick, the leather sheath, I've talked about this in the past. Bad idea to have a leather sheath with a non-stainless high carbon steel, which this is. This is the SK5. No more need to be said about that. I had a custom sheath made for this knife. It's made of Kydex, and it's an excellent sheath. You can see my video on that. Only changes I would make to this knife is I would remove this top part of the hilt. I would add jimping to the back of the blade, and what that would do is it would allow me to choke up on the blade more, have a lot more control with my thumb. I wouldn't have this obtrusive hilt in the way, and having jimping would add a secondary surface which I could use to scrape wood, possibly strike on a magnesium fire bar, and use for fire making. So that's it. That is my new review for the Cold Steel Trailmaster in SK5. My favorite wilderness survival knife. Very affordable knife. I hope you go out and get one, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.